You've probably heard it, right? You learn in class that I is je, but then you hear French speakers saying moi all the time. What's up with that? Well, today we are going to crack that exact code. It seems simple on the surface, but there's this really cool system hiding just underneath, and we're going to figure it out together.
Okay, so let's just jump right in with the big question, the one that probably got you here. If je means I, then why on earth is everyone saying moi? It's a super common trip-up for anyone learning the language, but the answer? The answer tells you something really fundamental about the way French is built.
So, to get to the bottom of this, we've got to meet the main characters of any French sentence. Let's call them the actors. These are the words that are actually doing all the work.
So here they are. These are what we call subject pronouns, and their job is super specific. They are the ones performing the action of the verb. That's it. Je speaks, nous eat, elles run. You can kind of think of them as the engine of the sentence. They make it go.
Okay, but this is where French gets a little different from English. It leads us to this super important rule that's tied directly to these pronouns. See, in English we say, I speak, we speak. The verb speak doesn't change. But in French, no way. The verb has to change its shape to match the actor. And that whole process, that's called conjugation.
All right, stick with me here, because understanding this little detail about verbs is the absolute key. It's why these actor pronouns have such a specific job, and it's exactly why French needs a whole other set of pronouns to do something else. So French verbs basically fall into these three main groups, but the main thing you need to get is that the verb's ending changes to match who's doing the action. Let's take parler, which means to speak. For I speak, it becomes je parle. But for we speak, it's nous parlons. See that ending? It's like a little arrow pointing right back to its actor. So what happens when you want to put a big bright spotlight on that actor?
Right. I mean, what if you don't just want to say, I am going out? What if you want to say, me, I'm the one going out? Not him, not her, me. You can't just yell je a bit louder, right? French has this much cooler, much more elegant way to handle it.
And that's where this whole other set of pronouns comes into play. These guys aren't the actors. Nope, they are the ones standing directly in the spotlight. We call these stressed pronouns, or pronom tonique. But let's just stick with spotlight pronouns. Their whole reason for existing is to highlight a person, not the action. You use them when you want to add emphasis, or just to answer a question like, who did it? Or when the pronoun is just standing all by itself, without a verb in sight. Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting, seeing them side by side. Check it out. Je completely flips to moi. Tu becomes toi. But then, look at nous, vous, and elle. They stay exactly the same. It's wild. And getting this difference is what really unlocks a ton of nuance in the language.
So the big question is, when do you actually use the spotlight pronoun instead of the actor pronoun? Well, luckily there are some pretty clear-cut rules for this. You're going to pull them out when you want to add emphasis, when the pronoun is all by itself, after little connecting words called prepositions, when you're listing people, and after that super common phrase, c'est.
Okay, here's a perfect example. You would never, ever say avec je. It just sounds wrong to a French speaker. After a preposition like avec, which just means with, you have to use that spotlight form. So it's always avec moi, with me.
And here's another one that you'll hear all the time. When you're identifying someone, like pointing and saying it is, you always grab the spotlight pronoun. So it's not c'est tu. Nope, it's c'est toi. It's you.
All right, let's bring it all home now. We're going to put everything together because seeing these two types of pronouns in action really shows you this powerful concept, one that you can start using like today to make your friend sound so much more natural. And boom, here's the whole idea in a nutshell. The actors, the subject pronouns, they do stuff, like je parle, I speak. But the spotlight pronouns, they get emphasized. Moi, je parle, which is like saying, as for me, I speak. See the emphasis? Or, of course, they come after prepositions, like parle avec moi, speak with me.
You know, this isn't just some boring grammar rule you have to memorize. Getting this down it's the difference between just stating a fact and actually adding your personality to it. It adds nuance, it adds clarity. Honestly, it's how you go from just speaking French to really expressing yourself in French. So there you go. You've just unlocked a massive tool for expressing yourself in French. It all comes down to knowing the difference between the actor and the one in the spotlight. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.